Steven Spielberg is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and there's a chance that everyone loves at least one of his films. He's that one filmmaker that nobody can say they dislike. And so today I'm going to go over my top 10 favorite Steven Spielberg movies. Welcome to another new video, everyone. I'm Movie Micah. Like I said, this is top 10 Steven Spielberg movies. Share your list down below in the comment section. I want to know what your favorite Spielberg movie is. And without further ado, let's get into my list. I think Jurassic Park is one of the most overrated films of all time. When I think of overrated films, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Dark Knight, and Jurassic Park come to mind. I just think it's a pretty decent 90s blockbuster. I understand being blown away by it, watching it in theaters when it came out, but I just don't think it's all that special. The score and special effects are great, and in the second half there is some great suspense, but I don't know, it kind of does drag at some points. Not necessarily boring, but there are some unneeded parts that could have been cut out. Unfortunately, this is a pretty disappointing movie, but it does make top 10 Spielberg, so we should get into the movies that I really love. This is one of the movies that perfectly represents classic 80s family films. E.T. the Extraterrestrial is a good movie, but I don't think I'll ever understand how some people have this as their favorite Spielberg film. If it's a big part of your childhood, that definitely makes sense, but it's one I've never really loved. It's a decent family film that most people will have a fun time with, but Spielberg has so much better stuff to offer. With that said, E.T. is super iconic and enjoyable. E.T. the character is pretty funny at times. It's a very good movie visually, especially for that time. I have to say, I think this film is also a little overrated along with Jurassic Park, but it still makes top 10. I usually don't like saying the word overrated, and I probably just offended plenty of people by saying Jurassic Park and E.T. are overrated, but trust me, I really like the rest of the films on this list, and I do think Spielberg is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Lincoln is easily one of Spielberg's best movies in recent years. He made the BFG and Ready Player One, which are terrible movies, but Lincoln proves he can still make a great one. I've always heard about these events and known that these things happened, but this film definitely made it feel more real for me. It transported me to this time period and showed me this story very well. Daniel Day-Lewis completely disappeared into the role of Abraham Lincoln, and there's not a bad performance in the entire movie. This is definitely a very well-made movie, and even though I lost my attention at some points, this is one I would definitely recommend. Catch Me If You Can just might be the most fun Spielberg movie. It's a movie that never stops being entertaining, and it's always interesting watching DiCaprio's character outsmart everyone else in the film. Obviously, the cast is great. It's awesome to have Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks in the same movie, and they're both fantastic as always. What I find extremely interesting is that this is actually a true story. I think that's pretty fascinating. I don't know what else to say. This is a very enjoyable ride of a movie that all Spielberg fans need to check out. Minority Report has the most interesting concept and world of any of these movies. The opening shows us everything we need to know about the concept, where this organization arrests people before they even commit the crime. And then with that twist, we find out that the main character, played by Tom Cruise, was going to kill someone. It's a really interesting setup for the film, and throughout the story, we keep wondering why would he kill someone. Then we learn more about him, and when it gets to the moment, it all makes so much sense. I love movies with big, mind-blowing endings and twists, and this film absolutely gave me that. Jaws is one of the first films that made Spielberg as popular as he is now, and for good reason. I think this is a great movie, but it's not without some minor flaws. There are some outdated aspects and filmmaking decisions that nobody would really make nowadays. For example, the non-existent ending. This movie kind of just ends without concluding the character arcs or story. Besides those things, I like everything about this movie. They made the shark decently scary, and it is definitely a suspenseful film. The story is really simple but still interesting, and that works for the movie perfectly. Overall, Jaws is just a really well-crafted classic that everyone should see. The classic Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, come on, who doesn't love this movie? It's the perfect adventure movie that is entertaining every second of the time. It probably has the best opening to any movie ever, along with a bunch of other great action sequences and ideas. The iconic car chase scene and the Ark of the Covenant, there's just so much great stuff in this movie. Harrison Ford is obviously fantastic as Indiana Jones. This franchise is so great, and while Raiders isn't even the best Indiana Jones movie to me, it is still amazing. If you somehow haven't seen this film, go check it out this moment. Oh look, it's another Indiana Jones movie. Last Crusade is fantastic in every way. It took everything good about Raiders of the Lost Ark and made it even better. The adventure is even more fun, the action is even more creative, and we also got John Connery as Indy's dad, which was perfect casting. This film easily has some of the best moments of any Spielberg film with the Holy Grail and that entire ending. It's just so great. If there's one Spielberg movie that gives me pure fun, it's this one. Every scene is so interesting and entertaining. The great cast, phenomenal action, and incredible finale add up to make for the greatest adventure film of all time, possibly. Saving Private Ryan is most likely my favorite war movie. Even with all the other incredible war films like Paths of Glory and 1917, this is the best. For a while, this was my number one Spielberg movie. Not quite there now, but it's still phenomenal. This is the one film that truly shows the harsh reality of war the best. Just seeing the opening battle with all that blood, you know it won't hold back from showing what war is really like. The cast is great and all the characters are really likable. I like how they don't tell us much about them at first, but they slowly became more interesting. Then we get into the final act where they all make sacrifices, and it's very powerful because they got us caring about these characters. There's nothing that doesn't work about this movie. Here's the thing. I don't think this is necessarily my favorite Spielberg movie. In fact, it's definitely not my favorite because there are plenty of these that I enjoy more. But that's a good thing when dealing with this type of story. Nobody can say that this was a pleasant watch. Nobody can say they had a good time with this movie. But that's because it's perfect. Schindlers List is one of the best movies ever made, for sure. It perfectly shows us the awfulness of these events and shows us all the evil that took place. It made me realize just how horrendous the Holocaust really was, and that's why this is maybe the most important movie that everyone needs to see in their lifetime. There are so many moments that might make you cry, so many devastating scenes, and so much to think about. It's not the kind of movie that any of us will want to re-watch, but it's the kind of film that everyone should see at least once. So thanks for watching, everyone. That was my top 10 Spielberg movies. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe because I am also working on a top 10 Alfred Hitchcock movies, another one of my favorite filmmakers. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. Also, if you want to check out more of my previous videos, that will be right up there and right up there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.